You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor! What's up, Thunderverse, and welcome to this very sort of retro style Ring of Thunder. What do I mean by that? Because nothing here sounds different. It's just, me using the same rad equipment that I've used for the last several months or however long I've had this. And I'm still going to be talking about wrestling stuff, but not like every single thing that happened in every single show. God, no. No, I guess really the feeling is just, or the retro part is really just the feeling of this. Because this is no longer me, trying to wake up on a Monday morning and eat breakfast and then try to get my focus together so I can get Ring of Thunder recorded before I go get some Moe's for dinner and get ready for work that night. Nope. Because your boy's already been to work today. This is the retro feeling episode because your boy started back at DashCon today doing stock, so we're now back to the good old days of 2018, 2019, where Mondays I go in, do stock, grab some Moe's on the way home, and then record this here podcast real quick before or before Raw comes on. So here we go. So I don't know how long this will be. Might be a little bit shorter, might be a little bit longer. Depends on how much I want to ramble. But anyway, here we go. So this past Saturday, myself and my friend were driving down to Mall, Georgia. Got a whole lot of cool stuff. When, holy shit, I got a Twitter notification that Alexa Bliss was tweeting something about being sorry or horrified to hear some news or very sad to hear some news because she loved working with Wyndham. And I'm like, as far as I know, there's only one Wyndham that she's ever worked with, that being one Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt. And I kind of had all the fear because the last time I saw her tweet a message like this was months ago when she retweeted a tweet about Brody Lee having passed away. So, yeah, your boy had all the fear. And then I opened it up and she was retweeting a tweet from WWE that says that Bray Wyatt has been released. Now, I was relieved because Bray is very much alive and physically doing well, but I was still like, fuck, no. Apparently he was actually set to come back this month. Damn it. I mean, I'm not going to harp on this too much because you can find a million articles about how WWE just never really knew what they had with Bray or what to do with them or how to book them properly. You can find that all over Twitter and wrestling news websites and opinion websites and everything. And they're all spot on, honestly. Yeah, this really sucks, but hopefully he gets to a place that can really do that. Like, everyone's saying AEW, and especially because the little Dark Order connection, but there's also a very good chance that won't be the place because Tony Khan is just a little bit iffy about like some hocus pocus, like having Matt Hardy teleport. Apparently he's good with the whatever smoke and mirrors that Malachi Black brings, but yeah, I guess there's more of a reason why we haven't seen too much of broken/woken Matt Hardy, and we've just been with big money Matt in the Hardy family office, which is still working quite well, so I'm not complaining too much on that. But I mean, hey, Bray Wyatt could go to Impact Wrestling. Impact don't give a fuck. They'll let Bray go as crazy as he fucking wants. I mean, hello, Undead Realm right here. I mean, it would be perfect. You know, Undead Realm's kind of laid a bit low as of late, as despite a couple of appearances from Father James Mitchell and Su Yung in between personality switches into Susie and Susan. But I mean, it seems like if they're making some sort of comeback, because Havoc's joined Decay, and yeah, this past week on Impact we got a brief little video where Su Yung is definitely back in full Su Yung form, and it turns out she's turned Kimberly into a demon or whatever. Su Yung also is a ghoul, a ghastly ghoul. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, Bray could absolutely work within those confines and those seemingly non-existent shackles. So, but either which way, in about 3 months, hopefully sooner, I'll be very interested to see where he goes. And see, this is why you should absolutely watch multiple wrestling promotions, because if wrestler leaves promotion A and then goes to promotion B, and promotion B also grants them, more creative freedom, or at least, less creative dampening, they are not the same thing, then you get to enjoy your favorite wrestler somewhere else. You can continue to enjoy them, and also you might even get to see them do even better stuff. I mean, who knew that EC3 in WWE holding that, just sitting there looking bored holding a red cup, will go into whatever he's been into with oh god, now I can't even remember what EC3's little thing was. It was some sort of, like, it's not Free Your Mind, it's not Matrixy, and it's not Follow the Trend, because that's Matt Taven's current thing. Oh, Write Your Own Narrative or something like that. Oof. It's been a while. And apparently, and I was actually just asking this the other day, and we'd been wondering what happened to her, but Jojo Offerman, the former ring announcer for WWE, who was last seen like late 2018, maybe early 2019, before she went on leave to have her son Nash that she has with Bray Wyatt. And then apparently they had another child in 2020. I was just sort of wondering where she was. And yeah, the news broke today that apparently she had been quietly released 6 to 8 months ago. I mean, I guess when you're just a ring announcer and you're being released in between all these mass releases of talent that have the internet just scratching their heads as to why, I mean, I guess I could see why you'd fly under the radar. Even though I myself didn't mind JoJo as a ring announcer, I thought she was really good. So hopefully both of them end up doing all right. And apparently now the news is breaking today. I might just have a whole frickin' section about people getting released on future episodes at this rate, because apparently as of now, Adam Cole's going to be a free agent after SummerSlam, it seems. I mean, maybe, unless... I mean, they could always do the contract, but they'd always been working under the perception that Adam Cole's contract ends in December, and then no, it's just like, wait, it ends after SummerSlam? Huh? What? So, we'll see where he goes from there, because he has been very comfortable just chilling on NXT and doing his thing, but you know, like it's been said before, he's got some friends in AEW, including his significant other, Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So, I mean, Tony Khan doesn't have to deal with any hocus pocus there. And also, if you could believe it, just throwing this in there because it happened. Apparently, Ric Flair just asked and was granted his release from WWE, so no more weird-ass storylines with him shacking up with his daughter's rivals. So, there we go. The Nature Boy could always show up in AEW sometimes with old Tully and old Arn. Maybe do a whatever. Who knows? Or maybe he just enjoys regular, quiet retirement life. More away from the public eye. Even though being permanently away from the public eye doesn't seem much like nature's nature. Pun only intended after the thought. But we'll see. And this episode of Ring of Honor Television was all about the opening round of the Ring of Honor Women's Division Championship Tournament. And Miranda Alizé defeated Alex Gracia. Nicole Savoy defeated Maserati. And Roxy defeated Sumi Sakai. And you voted her in, and now she's in to face Mandy Leon. I believe it'll be this coming week in the opening round, but Ring of Honor host Quinn McKay will be facing Mandy Leon after she's had 2 opportunities to get into the tournament by facing Angelina Love and Mandy Leon 2 separate times, or on separate occasions. And of course, she's lost both times because they were cheating. But the ref didn't see it, but the person who's currently running this women's division, Maria Kanellis-Bennett, certainly is watching. She is always watching. And what we're all watching, at least on Raw, is more evidence that the Hurt Business isn't getting back together anytime soon. Because Bobby Lashley and MVP were out in the ring to address Goldberg's challenge, or they were out there to address the fact that they're not going to address Goldberg's challenge. And then Cedric Alexander's like, oh, well, why don't you let me challenge you? And then Shelton Benjamin's like, Cedric, your voice is annoying, and Bobby should challenge me. And MVP was just like, don't bring all this crap up with the Almighty now. And then Bobby was just like, I'll take them both on, whatever. And sure enough, he actually handled them by hitting Shelton Benjamin with a jackhammer, Goldberg's main move. And then hitting Cedric Alexander with a Dominator right on top of Shelton, and he pinned both of them at the same time for the 1-2-3. So, yeah, Roman Reigns was sitting somewhere on Monday like, what the hell? But I don't know. Apparently, Roman and Paul Heyman don't watch Raw. I mean, at times I wonder why I watch Raw, honestly. And then Damian Priest defeated Sheamus in a United States Championship Contenders match. And I like how we're now naming and calling a spade when it comes to the non-title matches with champions. That when the contender wins in the non-title match, then they get a championship match afterwards. Now we're just straight up telling you it's a contenders match, just in case you didn't know. And then Nikki ASH opened the show as she is a champion on Raw, so she gets to come out there and cut an opening promo. But of course, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair came out as well, and they wanted another crack at the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam, and they were both making the case why they should get a rematch. And Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville liked both of their cases, so they made it a triple threat. And Charlotte wanted to face Nikki that night, so they had a one-on-one contenders match. And Charlotte beat Nikki in the main event, so Nikki wants a rematch, which will be happening tonight, which will be a no-holds-barred match, which will also be a contenders match. I am confused too. And then AJ Styles and Omos defeated the Viking Raiders in a rematch of the Raw Tag Team Championship, and then later on attacked Riddle in the match against John Morrison, because they simply just don't like Riddle. And Randy Orton should be returning soon. Then Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal is getting even more confusing because he had a match with Veer. I'm actually starting to remember their names and which one is which. And Jinder gave Veer a chair. Veer held it in front of his face. Drew hit a claymore on the chair, which thus the ref threw it out for disqualification, awarding the win to Drew McIntyre, even though Veer got hit with the chair, but the chair was introduced on Veer's side, so, bro, I don't know. And also Mason T-Bar lost to their former Retribution leader Mustafa Ali and his new happy-go-lucky partner Mansoor, which is kind of a bummer because I actually like Mason T-Bar. I've said this before, and I think their promos are weird as fuck, and I like them. And also, both guys are just hilarious on Twitter. And we'll be dropping this for a commercial break, and we'll be back soon with some, of course, more wrestling, because what else would you get?
Star Trek is a vision.
Great storytelling.
My favorite TV show of all time.
I really love it, and it's so much fun.
Join our crew aboard Earth Station Trek for your regular podcast escape into the Trekverse.
Make it so.
Let's see what's out there.
Wait a minute. I thought we all agreed to say make it so.
No, let's go. It's fun.
But make it so is iconic. It's classic.
It's too iconic.
So we're all going to do Make It So?
No.
How did watchdog groups with no experience in television take a controlling interest on Saturday morning television?
When did Wonder Woman make her animated debut?
Want to know why there were two competing Ghostbuster shows?
How Atari changed the Saturday morning landscape?
How did networks compete over similar genres at the same time?
Find out all of this and more on the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
A proud member of the ESO Network.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
It's Amanda Bones.
And I'm Ashley.
Of How to Talk to Your Friend About Wrestling, the podcast on the Count Out Wrestling Podcast Network, a weekly show where we talk about all of our favorite things, babes, blood, and brutality.
We also talk about other fun things, like is Kenny Omega finally too tan? And how much blood is too much blood? Because that looks like way too much blood.
So join us on the adventure of teaching me, Amanda Bones, about wrestling.
Do you like podcasts?
Then you're gonna hate Thunder Talk.
Tasteless subject matter.
Mature humor.
Contempt for our co-hosts.
Unapologetic social views.
Edgy music.
And total irreverence for the nerd junk we love.
Are all reasons why
No one
should listen to Thunder Talk.
Find us on the ESO Network.
and all podcasting platforms.
Or don't.
Whatever.
We're getting one step closer to Index becoming an official reality. Maybe a Facebook official reality. Because this week will be Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Lumis in a love her or leave her match. And if Dexter beats Johnny, then Dexter and Indy can happen. Index can happen. And if Johnny Gargano wins, then Dexter and Indy can't happen. And Indy Hartwell has taken all of this in hilarious stride because she's now changed her name on Twitter to Indy Bagwell in reference to that time when Buff Bagwell's mom, Judy Bagwell, was on a forklift, and it was Judy Bagwell on a pole match. I can't remember who Buff Bagwell's opponent was then, but yeah, Judy Bagwell was high up on a forklift that was lifted all the way up, and so I assume maybe a forklift will be involved here this week for Indy Hartwell. Or maybe there isn't, and again, she's just taking this all in hilarious stride. And Adam Cole defeated Bronson Reed, then was attacked by a deranged Kyle O'Reilly. So, for all intents and purposes, it looks like most likely it's going to be Cole O'Reilly 3, the good old rubber match. And, I mean, depending on how Adam Cole's contract situation goes, or maybe it doesn't depend on this at all, and the rubber match was always meant to go a certain way, Kyle O'Reilly's probably going to win, even though I'm Adam Cole all day, baby. And Samoa Joe brought 3 different sets of paperwork for William Regal to sign off on before Regal fired Karrion Kross for assaulting him last week, which he was about to fire him, but he didn't. So let me just make that clear right now. But Samoa Joe is just like, hold on, before you do that, let's go over this paperwork. The first was Joe's resignation as management's enforcer. The other was to make Joe an active member of the NXT roster. And the third is to make official Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship at TakeOver 36 the night after SummerSlam. Fuck yeah! And then jumping out of nowhere, over on AEW Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen, Charlotte, North Carolina. Didn't go there, but I did spot our friends of Borderlands Comics and Games in Greenville, South Carolina, Rob and Michelle Young. Shout out to them. They were in the ringside section. You could see them very clearly at least 2 times during the show. Chris Jericho completed his second labor by defeating former GCW World Champion and Master of the Pizza Cutter, Nick Gage. And during their match, at one point AEW showed a commercial for Domino's Pizza. I think this is a picture-in-picture while Gage was using a pizza cutter on Jericho's forehead. And apparently Domino's was pissed about it, which I think is just hogwash. But after that, MJF also kind of doing a sort of CM Punk pipe bomb tribute, informed Chris Jericho that his next labor will be against his old WCW Cruiserweight Division rival Juventud Guerrera. And Jericho can only win with a move from the top rope. So that is what this week will be. But yes, there's been a couple allusions to CM Punk during that episode, including Darby Allin being like, there's a lot of guys on this roster who think they're the best in the world. To which the fans just went, oh! And then, yeah, MJF sort of doing that promo on Jericho in the style of the CM Punk pipe bomb from 2011. It's just like, And apparently August 20th on Rampage will take place in the United Center in Chicago, where CM Punk is from, and it's called The First Dance. And people are just waiting for this to be the one where CM Punk makes his AEW debut. And over on SmackDown, Shinsuke Nakamura pinned Intercontinental Champion Apollo Crews in a 6-man tag match with Nakamura, Cesaro, and Big E versus Crews and the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, with, of course, battles happening on the side between Rick Boogs and Commander Aziz. But at the beginning of the show, John Cena was doing a promo talking about Roman Reigns and all that. And he said, and I quote, and this feud just gets more and more hilarious. He said, if you can find someone who can make missionary position interesting for 20 years, hold on, or keep them around, or hold on to them, trust me. I'm just like, Cena, you haven't had sex with the same person in 20 years. I promise you haven't. So, much less missionary position or any sort of position. So, but I see where he was getting at. It was a funny line. And later on, we had the Roman Reigns Finn Balor contract signing for their Universal Championship match at SummerSlam. Oh, but before that, while John Cena was talking, Baron Corbin came out still very disheveled and with spaghetti stuff on his shirt and asked Cena for money, and I think Cena gave him like $10, and Corbin called. It was like bad-mouthing him, so Cena gave him an attitude adjustment. Literally, he gave him the mood of the attitude adjustment. But back to the contract signing. Reigns and Balor had a little back and forth, of which Roman was just like, yeah, John Cena thinks you're beneath him. That's why he thought, or he was saying that I thought you were going to be easy because John Cena thinks you would be easier to face than him. He's insulting you. Those classic Roman Reigns mind games. And then during the contract signing, Baron Corbin attacked Finn Balor and tried to sign the contract. And I was just thinking, like, Baron, Mr. Corbin, sir, you're already about, like, pretty much right there at rock bottom. But I swear to God, if you face Roman Reigns for one more time, he will show you that rock bottom can go down even further after we're still feeling the effects of him whooping your ass for 6 months straight from the end of 2019 to the beginning of 2020. But before Corbin could sign that, John Cena came out and stopped him. And then John Cena signed the contract that still has Finn Balor's printed name on it, but has John Cena's signature. And Adam Pearce said they look good enough to him, which I dare say I call corruption. But whatever. And then later Edge came to the ring to, I guess, address something about Seth Rollins, but Seth attacked him all throughout the commercial break, and then when we came back from the commercial break, they showed us a replay of what happened. But if it was a replay of something that we've never seen before, isn't it technically a play? I think TV kind of mistimed that. And Bianca Belair celebrated over 100 days as SmackDown Women's Champion. Then Carmella and Zelina Vega demanded to face her at SummerSlam. Carmella still somehow saying she deserves an opportunity, even though she lost to her, like, the last 2 consecutive Fridays. And then Zelina Vega lost to Toni Storm in 3 minutes last week, so I don't know. It kind of sounds like bullshit. And then they attacked Belair until Sasha Banks made her return for the first time since WrestleMania Night 1 and chased them away. And there was a tag team match as the main event, which was Banks and Belair versus Vega and Carmella. And Banks and Belair celebrated afterwards. Then Banks hit Bianca with a backstabber and put her in the Banks statement. Oh, Sasha Banks, you vicious heel. You're still one of my favorites, however. And on Impact Homecoming, just some quick highlights from that. Turns out Deonna Purrazzo's homecoming partner in the tournament was Matthew Raywalt, aka the Drama King, aka the former Aiden English. And if somehow you didn't know that, then Matt Stryker made an Aiden English sort of pun that he very much forced in there. Like, damn, even I don't force jokes that bad. Shut up, I don't. And then Sam Beale got Missy Hyatt, who's been a manager in World Class Championship Wrestling, WCW, and ECW back in the day. She's only ever been a manager, not a wrestler, to be Brian Myers' wrestling partner in this tournament. So, of course, they lost in the first round. And then there was Rosemary and Crazy Steve versus Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering, and they had a biting chain, which is great because in every decay match, they were chanting, "Bite his face off," or "Bite her face off." And it was, I don't know where it came from, but it was hilarious, but nobody's face got bitten off. But I think Rosemary bit Tommy Dreamer's hand, then Tommy Dreamer bit Rosemary's hand, and they kept, and when I say they bit it, it wasn't a quick bite, like they held on with their teeth. So Rosemary bit Dreamer, Dreamer bit Rosemary, Crazy Steve bit Dreamer, and then Rachel Ellering bit Crazy Steve. So it was a whole biting chain. And to make it even more awesome, Rachel Ellering and Tommy Dreamer were dressed in some sort of, in like a sort of Road Warriors inspired gear. I mean, of course, this is because Rachel Ellering's father, Paul Ellering, was manager of the Road Warriors. And so I'm sure Tommy Dreamer was a big fan of the Road Warriors. This is all possible hearsay, but knowing how much Tommy Dreamer loves the business and has been around and all that, like, I'm sure he was very excited to work with Paul Ellering's daughter, and I'm sure she, having grown up in the business and probably have known about Tommy Dreamer for most, if not all, her life, was probably excited to team with him, so they had a nice chemistry to them. And, of course, Petey Williams and Jordan Grace were dressed as the Steiner brothers. But this is nothing new because over the last few weeks on Impact, at least, Petey just likes to show up in random segments like Swingers Palace, dressed as Scott Steiner and doing the whole Steiner math bit, which is still pretty funny. Yeah, he's got more tricks than just the Canadian Destroyer. And Josh Alexander defeated Black Taurus to retain the X Division Championship. And Eddie Edwards beat W. Morrissey in a hardcore match as the main event. And this week is very exciting because it's going to be The Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Good Brothers versus Frankie Kazarian, Eddie Edwards, and Sami Callihan. So first, you got Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan actually teaming up with each other, which is something amazing of itself. But also, you have Frankie Kazarian returning to Impact. Of course, you know, he's been on AEW and all that, but he's returned to Impact for the first time in seemingly a long while. Like, this man was, I think he was a TNA original, and if he wasn't a TNA original, he was damn close to being a TNA original. So it was very nice. I mean, myself, being a later wrestling fan like I am, like, I like Frankie Kazarian. I've seen him plenty enough in AEW, and I knew that he was in TNA way back when. So to see him come back to that, it left me all the warm and fuzzy feelings. I'm not going to say in my tum-tum because I personally feel like that whole phrase should be trademarked by Simon Miller, but I am taking the whole tag team move. Whenever I have a tag team partner and we're a wrestling tag team, we're doing the assisted pile driver like the Bucks do with the Meltzer driver, and we're calling it the Miller driver in honor of Simon Miller because he is just awesome. But I don't know where I was going with that, but that's all I got for you. That's the 1, 2, 3. Thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Dr. Geek here with another reminder that the ESO Network is pro-science and pro-vaccine. We urge you to be a superhero and protect yourself, your family, and your fellow geeks around the world. Don't be fooled by the forces of evil and their anti-science misinformation campaign. Consult the latest CDC guidelines, your doctor, and get the COVID vaccine today.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.